period of time, that's where I'm running, because I have concern for the future of the town.
Okay, the question is, what is your opinion on the Log Church Preservation Association hoping town residents pay the bill that may or will be incurred from this lawsuit with Mr. Gill? If so, how would you make this happen, and if not, why not?
So the question before us is, the question before us is not about lawsuits, it's what's the appropriation of the
Tracy,
The question is not about lawsuits, the question is not about court cases, the question is about the appropriate mission for the Hobby Log Church Preservation Society. As a donor to that society, I believe that their primary mission is to raise money and build an endowment for the continued and future maintenance of that site. Period. That's the business they're in. When they have successfully done that, they could use funds to help us develop the park surrounding the church. That would be an enhancement of the church and consistent with their mission. They are not in the business of, nor is it their mission, to raise money and upstream it to the town to help us settle the lawsuit. They raise relatively small amounts of money that will make little difference to the lawsuit and a very, very large difference to having the church that we took this obligation on to protect its views, not the church, but its views of Blue Mounds, so that it's there for all time. They are a fundraising and church preservation society, not a legal aid society.
Thank you. I've got 2 questions left, and we are going faster than I thought. So if people do have questions, you have the cards.
Caroline, you just got cards.
If you want to write down any questions, particularly on issues that we haven't, covered here. We get to, I'll do these 2 questions, and then hopefully other people have questions. Ken, we're starting with you. What is your vision for land development in the town of Perry?
I think some development is fine in this township. I think it's been good in the past. Our land use plan has worked good for us to develop lands. Being a farmer, I like to see that the development is such that we can still run the land, farm the land. With the equipment getting bigger and so on, we like to keep parcels as large as we can. And place homes where it's the least amount of impact for the ag land. There's a lot of other things we have to look at, whether it's the roads are going to be, how the roads are going to be affected, what our patrolmen or whoever, cleaning the roads. There's a lot of things we got to look at there, but some development has been good, and I think it will continue to be good.
Okay, thank you. Brent?
I own 2 farms, and I have density units that I can use. So when discussing land use, and it's very important because I do have property for that could be used. Currently, it's all being farmed. It's not in any programs. We have cattle. We're young, and we're going to keep doing it. As far as development goes, the land is very diverse, and other approaches, a multiple approach to where's the best site for a home. Ken is right, equipment is getting bigger. Okay, and the other thing that is happening in agriculture in our community is less animals, and how those pastures are used, and if some can be tilled, and where homes can be put. When looking forward towards Perry, I don't see pressures of development. There's been in the last 5 years to date, 7 homes, 2 are barn remodels, 2 are replacement homes, 3 are new homes, and there's 3 lots for speculation. That's it in the last 5 years. The pressure is not here, and it will continue to probably not be here based on fuel costs. Push for agriculture at this point.
Thank you. Mick,
My view of development,
your
I
vision
think
for, your vision for
vision
land
for development is, I think it goes along with our land use plan. I think it does a good job of allowing people to realize their density units but still protect our ag land. Back in '98, that was one of the issues that came about. We were seeing pressure to put homes when they were in the middle of fields or, not really compatible with larger tractors and such. So we instituted a land division ordinance at that time, which tried to keep larger tracts of land together. And that allowed us to tuck the home sites off on the edges of fields, on fair soils, on poor soils, and leave the choice soils for the farming. We actually came up with 4 divisions: choice soil, fair soil, steep soil, and fair soil. So there's 4 areas that you can use for soil. So I think we've done a good job of tucking those homes in areas where they'll work. We also instituted an idea that was part of our change, was to allow a little encroachment on choice soil, because for many years we wouldn't allow any encroachment on choice soil. And we quickly found that people couldn't realize some of their density units, so we opened up a small acre allotment for driveways along fence lines to reach some of those sites, and it's actually helped people realize their density units and still maintain the integrity of our plan. Thank you.
Duane?
Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, what's happening in the real estate field? First of all, what's happening is the area active Ken, who's my neighbor, and he rents from me, by the way. Basically, he's a neighbor, he's a friend. What's happening in real estate now is what farmers are doing rather than speculating. They're selling larger parcels of land. And the reason for that is because they can't get the land. So they're buying larger parcels of land. That's one of the trends that people are doing right now, from my experience. Another thing, with my farm, I have a dairy farm. It's been a family farm since 1901. I took the inventory of my farm and I made a plan for the future for my children, for my inheritance. I do not plan ever to expand that or develop it. I do not, I live, like I said, I live in a family farm. I know what I'm developing, and I do not sold any property in a town period since 2008. Currently, I have no land for sale on Tunnel Ferry, and I have no wish to have land for sale on Tunnel Ferry unless the farmland, because most of the land in the past I have sold. The farmers have asked me to sell it. At this time, most of the farmers either retired or they sell large parts of the land and stay on the farm. Thanks.
Beth?
I think when we talk about development, this is about the first time anybody's ever needed me to talk louder. They're telling me to tone it down. When we're talking about development, and when people are concerned about development, really what a number of us are saying, and I certainly feel if there's a property next to me that has many density units on it that's for sale, is that we're concerned that we might not be able to preserve the things that we moved here for. We're concerned that the Perry could look like other places we don't like, that the views and freedom that we all have being in the country could be encroached upon. And that's something that none of us want, and I would certainly work to avoid. When you have a land use plan that has a limited number of density units, and those density units are on 35 acres, that's not necessarily going to create a development problem. TDR can decouple, the transfer development rights can decouple the houses from the land and actually give you more houses than you would otherwise get. That could be an issue. And I think that if you look at trends, we may not be seeing the kind of development that we once saw, where people are moving out into the country in such large numbers. You have higher fuel costs, you have more expensive property, and so I guess my vision for Perry is to try to use the land use plan that we have as effectively as we can to help us.
My vision is, I don't have a crystal ball, none of us do, but if you look at the past, there's always going to be some development. One reason I think is because we have such a lovely town. Some people may disagree with me, I don't know. The other thing is, I think if we are very concerned about how we handle our land use plan, we aren't going to change the look of our town. And I think Mick has said it too, you know, that we have made revisions in our land use plan to accommodate a lot of these developments to handle, whether it's a concern of I could get a development here, but I have to cross part of an acre of choice soil, or if I can go along a line fence and not worry about cutting the field in half. We've made it available for these people to make some money off of what they've been farming all their lives and use it their retirement. I definitely think there will be development. I know that if we have a land use committee that follows the land use plan, because, you know, the land use committee makes the strongest recommendation to the town board of whether to approve or disapprove the development site. So like I say, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think we're going to continue to develop somewhere.
Thank you. Okay, Brent, we'll start with you. What ideas do you have on attracting small businesses in the area?
I think when you start looking at small businesses, you look at unique products, whether it be meat production, egg production. We love to see a small craft style cheese coming in, and when I say craft, it's with a C, not a K. There's small businesses that are doing fibers in our community today. There's small businesses that are doing vegetables that are doing fairly well. There are small pockets of areas that are wonderful for doing vegetable produce and products such as that. I think we're set up for that, and I don't think we're, when you look at agricultural businesses, I don't think we're really set up that well to do large grain production. Our fields are not huge. And some of the soils on tops of those start to get a little thin for large production of that. I think we have wonderful buildings on our farms that could also be converted to small retail places for specialty items. I think that's really where we're heading, is small business and not large.
Thank you. Mick?
Yeah, I do agree, small businesses, egg-related types of businesses and craft types of businesses. I think we'd be surprised if we did a survey to see what small businesses actually are in the town. I think we have quite a few of them actually. And I know that I think some of those are linked on our website. So that's another opportunity for those of you who might know somebody who would like to link their small business on the town website. It's a really nice tool. I think there's some ag enterprise zone talk out there, and where some farmers go together and farm the land and have kind of an ag-related business that way. So I think we're set up for ag-related situations, but we also need to recognize what other small businesses we have out here and try to get the word out of them. So, thank you.
Duane?
Yes, thanks, Mick. I think you got a lot of good points to make. I think the town board of the future is to interact and help out we all have to make adjustments in life. And I think one of the things that I think about now in the business too, the current, well, we're not gonna say anything about the current environment, it's not necessary. I'm gonna be creative here. I'm gonna say if we need something, we need resources, we need to talk to individuals that have knowledge of businesses rather than assumptions. If there's a business that needs to be established, you get the education and the knowledge of the people that need to be taken care of. I mean, it's just the way it is. The trends change all the time. Everybody spoke about vegetable farming, agriculture buildings, changing buildings for this and that, but we all have to change. This farming community is changing. In 1979, there were probably about 75 dairy farmers in this township. Now we're probably down to about 10. Are we making adjustments? We don't know. Thank you.
It's an interesting question, because I don't know that I've ever thought about Perry as a seat for business. We do have a very rich small business culture in Perry, and as Brent mentioned, the other mentions agricultural businesses. Perhaps one of the best opportunities that would be overlooked at the current time to bring small business to Perry might be Dalyville. Dalyville has a number of historical assets, whether you know it or not. There are 2 or 3 buildings that date to the same time as the church. There is also a number of other structures that are very interesting. There are good vernacular architecture. And you could very, very easily work on perhaps having Dalyville become a destination for tourists or bicyclists, like Paoli has become, like some other communities in our area have become. Schultzburg's done a lot with this. And so I guess that would be the first way that I would approach trying to approach that opportunity, would be to look at things that we could do here that would primarily attract others and generate some job opportunities, perhaps some income to business owners.
I think everyone's in agreement that that would be a great thing if the town of Perry could pick up some more small businesses. I don't know how many of you realize that years ago we did have a lot of small businesses in the town of Perry. We had a store up here, kind of a general store right in forward. Daleville had a grocery store, sold TVs. We had a blacksmith shop. We still have a car repair garage. The person works part-time at it, but and I know, as Brett said, there's some fiber people, there's garden people. I'm all for it. My son has a small business besides the business that he and I are in. It's a hunting show business. He's using the resources that our farm and farms that we get permission to go on to show deer and turkey, and so I think the opportunity is there. If we have people that have a willing desire to go out and do this, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm supportive of small business too. We do have a lot of them in this township. We have everything from sheep to vegetables to llamas to dogs. There's a real lot of businesses. There's dog training. It's just for the people to come in, and they've got to start their own small businesses. The town can only do so much about that, but to have the people, I guess, with the vision, sometimes it's for keeping their family, a job for their family on the farm while their kids are growing. This agricultural land is great for teaching children responsibility and so on, and by these small businesses being out here and doing that, I don't know how we could enforce it, but just the people's vision coming out here and having the land to do it on, I think is what really is important.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna start again with Mick. We're starting with the questions that I'm getting here. The first one is, what is it about you that sets you apart from your opponent?
Yeah, works right here. I got one here. I think probably just the fact that I've been here longer. Now I'm a newcomer, all right? I've been here 35 years, but I'm still a newcomer. And I'm proud of that. But I guess I have been involved in the town a little bit more, a lot more, I guess, with land use and serving volunteer committees, park and open space. So I've kind of been in the workings of how the town works and able to interact with people and helping to make decisions on actual town business. I did help found the Park and Open Space Committee and helped write the first Park and Open Space Plan, which actually helped the town realize some grant possibilities as we purchased land around the Howdy Church. So I do have experience, probably a little more than Brent on that. So I think that's what sets me apart is my longer years, my gray hair, and more experience with town.
Okay, thank you. Back again, I want to get back to the community. I really feel I want to run for this position of supervisor, one, because of my experience in the board of directors, long-range plan, budgeting, checks and balances, accounting systems, and transparency to like it was to the co-op or whatever it was. I was part of the Maysville Mutual Insurance Board. I was part of the American Health Producer Board. I was also a subcommittee on the school district restructuring location of Hefty. Currently, I'm a deacon for the second-year term at the Barrett Lutheran Church, and I really feel I'm different from the rest because of my experiences. And I've had a lot of experiences with land use issues here in the township, with the individuals that need some help in rezoning the land. I followed the guides and land use plan, and it worked out, and had a good rapport with the current board. Thanks.
Well, I think that those of you who've been following town board meetings for the last couple of years will probably agree that the most signature characteristic that I would have would be an understanding of finances, an understanding of business practices, experience, 30 years of experience in that area, a very, very well-developed ability to research and get answers and to refine those answers in policy. And so I think that what you're looking at is maybe my strong suit, if you will, is that. I know basically how we could more effectively, I think, use our resources and our money. I think that I have the skills to see that those things are done well, whether it's equipment purchases or negotiations or trying to get good advice from attorneys.
Thank you. Roger.
The main difference between Barrett and I is I've lived here all my life. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. I think it is. Another one is the experience I've had by having served on the land use committee, two positions on the town board, to gather information as how town government should be or is being run. Someone once told me that higher education doesn't make you a smarter person, it just makes you more available for maybe some positions in your life. Barrett, I think, is a financial